Afternoon. Okay. Good afternoon. Thank you for being here. It is 5:10 p.m. We have quorum and we can proceed to have our last regular meeting of this year. So I would like to call the meeting to order. And as I mentioned, it's 5:10 p.m. So Mr. Caputi, can you please do the roll call?
Dr. Vilches,
Yes.
Ms. Lopez,
Here.
Mr. Keelis,
Here.
He's online.
I'm here, Mr. Koss,
He's not here.
Ms. Dunn.
Here.
Ms. Hanson,
Here.
Ms. Hernandez,
She's not here.
Ms. Shoei,
Yes. Present.
Mr. Rodriguez.
Yes.
Mrs. Destiny Johnson, Pablo Gonzalez, Divine Valdez.
Mhm. That's it.
So I've got 9 present.
Four absent and we have quorum. Next item in the agenda is to approve the agenda. You can make the motion if you want. Okay, Mr. Rolando. Anyone who likes to second?
I'll second.
Mr. Caputi, thank you. Open for discussion. Close discussion, roll call for vote.
Dr. Vilches,
Yes.
Ms. Lopez,
Yes.
Mr. Keelis,
Yes.
yes, Ms. Dunn,
Yes.
Ms. Hanson,
Yes.
Ms. Shoei,
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez. Yes. Divine Valdez. So it's 9 yes, passes.
Next item in the agenda is to approve April 10 regular meeting minutes.
I'll make a motion to.
Mr. Caputi, thank you. So Mr. Rolando, second. Open for discussion. I just have a question. Mr. Caputi, did you make the corrections I mentioned in last meeting?
What correction was that?
I don't remember. I just remember that I point out some items to be corrected. And I'm not sure if the corrections were made or not. You don't remember?
The only thing I recall was using the word "del," and I adjusted that, although Mr. Rodriguez used that word later, so that stayed in. Other than that, for all these minutes, they are, after reviewing all the recordings, they're exactly accurate.
I have a question. The rest of the LSC members had the opportunity to go over the minutes and revise them? You didn't?
I didn't look at them for extreme detail, like,
So I would like to try to table the minutes again. To have a chance to review, everyone to review the minutes and then we can approve them.
Madam Chair,
Yes, Mr. Aguilar?
there's a motion on the table to
Yes,
approve the
it is.
minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
We are discussing. Good.
okay, thank you.
Okay, so close discussion and roll call for vote.
Voting on tabling the minutes?
No, the motion is to approve the minutes as were submitted. For April.
Uh, Dr. Vilches,
I'll abstain.
Lopez,
No.
Mr. Keelis,
Abstain.
I'll vote yes. Ms. Dunn,
Yes.
Ms. Hanson,
Yes.
Ms. Shoei,
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez.
Yes.
Divine Valdez.
1, 2, 3, 4,
Six.
5, 6 votes. Motion didn't pass. Okay, so next item in the agenda is April 24th special meeting.
Madam Chair,
Yes, Mr. Quiles?
could we then put a motion to table it so we could discuss it in our next meeting?
To table the rest of the minutes?
No, the minutes that weren't approved.
Oh. Okay. Okay, he says that if we can present a motion to table the minutes that were not approved for the next meeting. Mm-hmm, exactly. So I would like to present a motion to table the minutes of April 10th for regular meeting and they were not approved.
Second.
This motion didn't pass. So Mr. Aquiles second. Open for discussion. Go ahead, Ms. Dunn.
Can't we just put it on the agenda again? I don't know, I don't know.
No, yes, because we're gonna put them in the agenda again. We are doing that process. We're following the process to table them because they didn't pass. So we're just following a process to have them in the agenda in the next regular meeting. Yes,
I'd just like to point out.
go ahead, Mr. Aquiles. Mr. Capuri.
That other than the May 8th minutes, all the other minutes are the same as they were last time, except for one word. So that will be going on 2 months' time. So I think we get 3 months. Point that out.
Mhm. Anyone else? No? Okay, close discussion, roll call for vote to table the minutes.
This is a motion to table, so if
Yes.
yes, we're tabling.
Yes,
The
and they will appear in the next regular meeting.
April 10th one, only?
Right,
Okay.
right.
Table that for April 24th.
April 10th.
Dr. Vilches,
Yes.
Ms. Lopez,
Yes.
Mr. Keelis,
Aye.
I'll vote yes. Ms. Dunn, Ms. Hanson,
Yes.
Ms. Shoei,
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez, Divine Valdez. So, yes.
So motion passed. Next item is the April 24th special meeting.
I'd like to make a motion.
Thank you, Mr. Capuri. Thank you, Mr. Rolando. Open for discussion.
Mr. Keelis.
Mr. Aquiles?
Yeah, I have a question. Because I don't have the minutes in front of me, but is this the minutes where my name was on the minutes?
Mr. Capuri, Mr. Quiles is asking if those meetings where that comment was reflected in the minutes with his name.
So I don't know, Mr. Keelis is asking if the name is in the minutes.
A comment that he made was in those minutes. He's asking.
So, but
Mr. Cap,
if you made a comment, they're in the mix, it's right from the report.
Mr. Quiles, did you hear the answer of Mr. Capuri?
Yeah, I heard the answer, but I didn't get the correct answer because I do not have the minutes in front of me.
Okay. Okay. So should we move forward?
Go ahead.
The volume is very low.
No, I put it up. It's the laptop.
Yeah.
He said that he didn't get the answer.
Do you want to move to this table? Because I think it's gonna be easiest for you to hear what he's saying, and I don't try to catch the meaning to repeat what he's saying.
Yeah,
I think it's gonna be, we can explain it between these two tables, and maybe you can hear the, I'm sorry, I'm push this.
Mr. Quiles, they're closer now. If you would like to repeat what you said so they can hear it.
Yeah, my question was, is these the minutes that are reflecting something that I had said? Because I do not have the minutes in front of me.
Is it? I saw something quickly, briefly.
What is it you said, Mr. Keelis?
That's the whole thing. I did read them before, but I do not recall what was said.
I got permission to speak.
Yes, and then Michelle, go ahead.
So it says, Mr. Quiles asked why, if parents or teachers have suggestions, they have not contributed to CIWP in all this time. Is that what you're speaking of?
Okay. Thank you.
Can I speak?
Go ahead, Mr.
I'm a little confused what we're getting at with what was said was said. There's no right or wrong answers, and I have a recording of it, and thus the minutes. So there's no putting in or taking out. What, the sky is blue and what was said is in the minutes type of thing. I don't know quite what we're discussing.
Well, the reason I'm asking is because prior to this, things been put on the minutes that I haven't been in favor of what you have put down. So I need to make sure that it's right before I even vote on it, or else I will abstain to any of the minutes that I feel that they're not written the right way. And for the record, I would like to know that I haven't heard in none of our meetings been put up on the table that the meetings are being recorded. I believe that you have to announce that before anybody records anything.
So this was brought up at a meeting in the past, a discussion with Ms. Durden Jackson.
Mm-hmm.
And she said to the entire LSC that the secretary is allowed to record meetings to help them with the minutes.
But did you make the announcement?
So
No,
going,
what he's saying is that, we need to announce that the meeting is gonna be recorded before we record as an LSC.
right. It's a public meeting. I know other meetings have been recorded and it wasn't announced by Dr. Vilches. It's a public meeting. They can be recorded. Ms. Durden Jackson gave permission for the secretary to record all meetings for the sake of the minutes.
No, but
If you want as a formality to announce it ahead of time, but that's been agreed upon. So
Right, it's a formality that we have to follow to avoid any complications or claim by anyone who's not agreed to be recorded.
Yeah, and
well,
to be,
it's a public meeting. I don't think there's any agreeing or not agreeing, right? Public meetings for the
Okay,
LSC.
I understand your point of view, but I mean, to prevent anything else against this LSC, is very, I mean, it's a protection for us if we say we're gonna record it.
yeah, and I want to clarify, I did make announcements that it was recorded. It was on the screen where it says meetings being recorded. Sometimes you guys had to remind me to hit the record button because I would forget sometimes. And so you made sure that I was reminded to record the meeting if I forgot to make the announcement or forgot to hit the button. So all of the meetings that were recorded under the LSC guidelines, up until that point where I can no longer record, I made sure that and the recordings were put on the school website as directed by LSC Relations.
Okay, so close discussion. Roll call for vote.
We're voting on whether to approve these minutes or not.
Yes,
The 24th.
the 24th.
Dr. Vilches,
Abstain.
Ms. Lopez,
I need to abstain.
Mr. Keelis.
Abstain.
I vote yes. Ms. Dunn,
Yes.
Ms. Hanson,
Yes.
Ms. Shoei,
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez,
Yes.
Divine Valdez, 6 yes, 3 abstain.
Mhm. A motion didn't pass. So I would like to present a motion to table the minutes for the next regular LSC meeting.
I second it.
Thank you, Ms. Dunn. Open for discussion.
Can I ask,
Go ahead.
why are we gonna keep doing this? I mean, it's just like he's written out everything that's been recorded. I just don't know why we keep not approving the minutes that they're written out exactly how they went. Especially, I was at the 24, I was at the 27, and
I was there too, but I mean, doesn't mean that I remember everything that happened as it is, right?
yeah, it happened
So-
4 months ago.
Right. I understand that. I didn't really wanted to express what my family is going through, but just now I was discharged from the hospital with my 4-year-old who was diagnosed with diabetes type 1 since December. So I've been a little bit busy at home. So as I said, I was just discharged from the hospital. I'm here because I have to be here and respecting the time of everyone, even though people don't believe that I'm respecting their time. But I mean, if I didn't have the opportunity to read it, even though it was 3 months ago, because I have something else in my hand that has to be resolved faster, I have to be honest, and I cannot vote anything the same way sometimes the budget is not voted, right? For the same reason. So that's all I can do, and that's what I'm here trying to address the situation in the best way to move forward. You're welcome. So anything else? Class discussion, roll call for vote
Sorry, this is a vote to
to table the minutes and have them in the next agenda.
April 24th.
Right.
Dr. Vilches,
Yeah, yes.
Ms. Lopez,
Yes.
Mr. Keelis.
Yes.
I'll vote yes. Ms. Dunn,
Yes.
Ms. Shoei, Mr. Rodriguez,
Abstain.
and Divine Valdez. So that's 8 yes, 1 abstention.
Okay.
Madam Chair, permission to speak?
Go ahead.
Yeah, and so then, just in lieu of the fact that several members shared by the head nods that some of them have been able to look at it, or maybe now with the detail and what you've expressed, is it worth it to table the rest of the minutes so that we're, just make a motion to table all of the remainder minutes for the next meeting, to give everyone some time to review and have whatever they want to communicate at the next meeting with more time. So I'm not making a motion, I'm asking, is it possible to table the rest of the motions, the 27th, the 8th? Since we've already tabled the 10th and the 24th. And hopefully we're in a better space with, stuff that happens outside.
I think that's probably a
Sure,
good idea.
it's okay.
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
So everyone is okay with it?
Do make a motion, second it, and vote?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So
I
you make the motion to table?
I make a motion to table the remainder minutes on the agenda for the next meeting.
Luis Fernando second. So open for discussion. Go ahead, Mr. Cooper.
I just want to kind of give an overview, and of course, there's things that happen outside of school. The minutes for the 2023 May meeting were never approved. The Attorney General required us or asked us to approve those minutes, and those were never approved. If those get asked for, I don't know what we would do. And we understand that things come up, but I do believe that the rule for approving minutes is 3 months. So hopefully in that period of time, we can approve it. I have a feeling that there's no real disagreement about the accuracy of the minutes. I think there might be some concern by some people on the content of the minutes. And I don't create content. I just record the accuracy of what was said at the minute. So I suspect this may end up at the Attorney General again if we can't do it in 3 months, and that they can make a decision. But I think the accuracy is
The minutes you mentioned, Mr. Caputi, those minutes were a recorder meeting, right? And if you remember well, I tried to I presented a motion to approve those minutes as a record meeting, and the LSC didn't approve them. So so we tried to approve them, but the majority decided not to approve them. So with that done, it's difficult to move forward. So I do what I can, but I have limitations. So let's go back to the minutes of April 27th special meeting. Anything else for the discussion in those minutes? No? Close discussion and roll call for vote, please.
we're voting to table all minutes.
Yes. No, to table the April 27th.
No, I
No,
made a
so
motion to table all of the rest of, there's 2 more on the,
Oh, there are 2 more? I didn't
Yeah.
see that. Oh,
so I made a motion to
Okay.
table the other 2, since we had already tabled the first 2.
27th and the 8th.
So I'm the 27th and the 8th.
oh, I see the 8 on the bottom. Okay. So the motion was to table April 27, and May 8. Okay. So thank you for clarifying. So close discussion, roll call for vote?
Dr. Vilches,
Yes.
Ms. Lopez,
Yes.
Mr. Keelis,
Aye.
I'll abstain. Ms. Dunn,
Yes.
Ms. Hanson,
Yes.
Ms. Shoei,
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez,
Yes.
and Divine Valdez. So 8 yes, 1 abstention.
Thank you. We move with the next item in the agenda, which is public participation. I don't know if anyone signed in on the paper here,
No.
but if you would like to express anything, you can write down your name right now. I understand we have an email to read, Mr. Caputi. Mr. Rolando, can you track the time right now?
Yeah.
Yes, you can
2 minutes.
make alarm. Yes, please. Because last time the other person wasn't so accurate.
Hello, my name is Walter Bresky. The LSC chair violated my open meeting rights to have my email read in its entirety at the last LSC meeting by halting the reading of my email at 1 minute 31 seconds into the 2 minute time limit. This is yet another OMA violation by your chair and LSC. Here's what wasn't read, and I'm asking for the 29 seconds to be added to my time limit in today's email to make up for that lost time. Quote, in addition, it was disingenuous for a member to respond to assertions that LSC members are being wrongly accused of being related to others that benefited from a relationship with an LSC member. It's a small community. Everyone knows everyone. Finally, there's several budget transfers up for vote tonight, including votes on money to buy food, work to be done on the athletic fields, athletic equipment, and supplies. I ask each member to question each transfer and find out if these items have already been ordered, like food was for Professional Development Day on December 22nd, 2023. This one, $3,000 of taxpayers' money was used to feed the faculty and staff with Sweet Baby Ray's barbecue, and this was ordered 11 days before the December LSC meeting. Why was your administration asking for $4,000 when they knew it would only cost $2,997? See attached. Where did the $1,003 go, or what was it used for? Who approved the food purchase when the LSC didn't meet to take a vote in December 2023? Also, do these purchases and the budget transfers follow CPS policies? Today, I add that this LSC has failed to respond with the requested documents to 2 other of my FOIA requests, including one asking for the 23-24 school calendar. This is important as, once again, the last 5 student attendance days were do-nothing days as grades were turned in a week before the last day of school. The last 5 school days had little to no students on campus, and those days had a day camp feel to it from all reports. It seems the Simon school year isn't planned in advance and is thrown together at the last minute, like most Professional Development Day presentations, according to your teachers at the last PPLC meeting. No worthwhile learning took place while all the
Time.
That's worse than my alarm clock. My bad.
Okay. So, thank you. I appreciate your help.
That's why we wake up on time.
It's a defibrillator.
Yes, I could. So no more public comments? No? Okay. So we move to the next item on the agenda with LLC. Chair report. I have nothing to report. I think I'm working with people who knows what they need to do in the LLC as an LLC members, and I don't need to be pushing anyone to do their job. So I just want to take the time to say thank you to Ms. Shoei for her support the entire year, for her efforts to be here on time, even though she's finished at work at 5, right, including Saturdays, and to Ms. Canson, also because their kids graduate already and they are here as an LLC members, giving their best, and everything that we can say to you is thank you. And we hope the best for you and your kids for the next journey. And well, we're thank you for your service. Thank you.
Thank you.
So and with that said, I'm conclude my report. So next item on the agenda is teacher's report.
Mhm. Let's see. Teachers wanted to confirm that there are parent openings on the LSC and that no parents will be turned away from applying. I believe there are at least 2 parent openings, if not 3 to 4, for the upcoming year. Teachers are curious. A lot of teachers have asked us, it seems like CPS revised budgets for schools since the one that got approved. We don't know if this is available to view. If so, teachers are interested in seeing that budget. I don't know if it will be put on the Steinmetz website, but we know that schools got a revised budget where each school got more money than originally planned, is the understanding. And we're especially interested in how that affects teacher staff retention, keeping some of the people that we lost. There were many layoffs this year, and faculty was concerned about that. Traditionally, at Steinmetz, on the last day of school, when it's teacher meetings, we acknowledge the people who are leaving. Unfortunately, we weren't able to do that this year, so we wanted to acknowledge the teachers that left this school year or chose to leave. Those are Lena Kranzler, Sandra Jackson, Noah Washington, Emily Baggio, Hannah Zambrano, Aaron Waymer, Nellie Carmen Paulette, Patrick Kelly, Michelle Cross, Perlo Ocampo, and Frank DiCarlo as a mix of staff and faculty. And of particular note, some teachers that were let go this year include Connor Boyke, Felicia Shakespeare, Michael Moriarty, David Opio, Bart Coyle, Tanya Benavides, Kimberly Diaz, and Marcos Sandoval. That's a total of 19 people this year alone. That's a bit of a turnover. Last year it was similar, so we've had quite a turnover in the last couple of years. So we want to thank those people for their time here. Anything I'm forgetting? No. Teachers going into next year, it looks like we're going to have meetings on Friday. We think that would be a good opportunity we usually get a newsletter every week, but now that we're going to have meeting time on every other Friday, I believe it is, that'd be a good opportunity to do sort of a live version of the newsletter. We think that would be helpful because a lot of times getting it through email, if there's questions or it's hard to understand or it's dense, that would be, teachers are really interested in doing that. Teachers are interested in a more clear field trip policy. There were some field trips this year that just sort of occurred without teachers either approving or knowing, and some teachers were trying to get finals and students were leaving for field trips, and that got a little bit hairy at the end of the year. And perhaps there should be blackout days for field trips, especially during the last few days of a grading period, so students can take care of their academics first. Teachers are still interested in a more coherent cell phone policy. Recently, Evanston, which is a much larger school, is do that policy for next year where there's no phones in the classroom. There's a lockup procedure. We think while cell phones have become a part of life for everybody, it's such a distraction, and the data is pretty clear that it's really difficult to teach and learn with the cell phones present. And teachers are still interested in some unified protocols, a finals week, perhaps that's more, designated day by day or class period by class period. We'd like to bring back a specific finals week. We think that would help the culture of learning in the school, whereas just people floating off at the end. Perhaps bring back a syllabi procedure where attendance and tardies and grading, all that kind of is either by department or by teacher. We think this continue, and again, this is bigger than this school and bigger than this administration. When a student has 7 classes, and for example, and this happens fairly regularly, they have, between 40 and 60 absences in all those classes, and they get 2 A's in this class, 2 B's over here, a C. That should be a moment where you just stop everything. Something is vastly, we think, awry when that's happening regularly. That indicates that if we have a faculty of about 70 teachers, we have kind of 70 separate schools here rather than one unified school. And we think that's bad. I feel like I'm talking to that one. That's bad. You guys are not.
No.
We feel that's
we are
bad.
Paying attention to you.
We feel that's bad for learning and for the culture generally, and it allows for a lot of sort of slippage, as it were, as far as student dedication and teacher dedication, to be honest. So we're continue to push school-wide protocols, and I think that covers us pretty good, unless you have anything.
You got it.
Yeah.
Do you think that maybe those examples where kids have a lot of absences is because they have something like a medical condition or something that interfere with the learning, but at the same time they have in their plans that I'll say accommodations to change grades?
I think
Because some of the kids, or at least I have a child with an IEP who can be absent consider number of time from his classes, but at the same time he has A's and B's because it's something that I have in his plan. So
That's different. I don't think we're talking about.
I guess
it's not
schools-
that?
No.
Okay, it's for the regular curriculum. Okay.
Yeah, of course, we're
Okay.
conscious of that. In fact, I had a homebound student who was on life support.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So
there.
we're not talking about those.
So that's the
That's a
reason
good
curriculum got it.
Of course. I mean, that's,
Okay.
that's a
Okay.
given.
No, I just want to make sure I'm on the same page you were. Okay.
Permission to speak, Madam
Go
Chair?
ahead.
Yeah, so the thing is that, but the teachers wouldn't know which students are on leave. For example, if a student enters, for example, a therapeutic setting
Mhm.
or is at a hospital for any type of ideation, they may have 45 absences and teachers wouldn't know necessarily if they're not a teacher of record of that student. They may
Okay.
not necessarily know, so they may be going based off of like the network data, like, oh, or whatever.
Mhm.
This student has 35 absences and has an A or a B. So the teachers will just see that report and think that, wait, why is that student passing? But they may not know the situation behind. So they would not all teachers would be
So the
privy
teachers
to.
don't have access to that
They know they would not have
information.
access unless they're a teacher of
Okay.
record of that student.
That is another
And
situation.
or they're like if they have a student with an IEP or 504 and they're a provider, then they would have access to that.
Uh-huh.
But in like and
Right.
like you wouldn't know unless you're a teacher of record if a student
Okay,
has been spent like 2 weeks or went to
Parent share that information with the
Yeah.
has enough confidential.
until the parent
confidentiality
shares that
right,
with us, then
with the
we
teacher.
process that information. If it has to go into a 504, then we start that process. So the student may not even have a 504 when they're in the therapeutic setting.
Right.
So they may be, or they're hospitalized for, like if they're on suicide watch or homicidal
Right.
watch or
They can
Nancy
be
B.
like 2-3
Jefferson.
weeks.
So they're
out
sent
of the
somewhere
house.
else. So they wouldn't know that, only
Right.
the principal or when the teacher makes it, the parent makes us aware, then we would initiate a process to work with the case managers if the hospital recommends a long-term support for the student.
Right.
And so they may be passing, but
Mhm.
teachers would see absence. But on the same token, if we're questioning that students that are absent and passing, the counter could be students that are present who have a 99% attendance rate or 98%. And we're talking about specific to that period because I'm not talking overall ADA. We could break it down by period. So the same argument can be made that students that are coming to school every day to that specific class are failing, right? So we can't, that argument goes both ways. So if we're saying that, oh, we should be concerned about students with high absences passing, then why are the same concern that we share as well, because we do break down the data by teacher, so like by period, by teacher, so it's not overall AD. And when you look at the swag reports that are sent home to the parents,
Mhm.
it tells you how many absences and targets to
Right.
that specific period as well. So the teachers can see that as well, or if they're talking with students. So I mean, the same argument can be made about students that have a 98%, 99, 90% attendance to that class, but yet they're failing that class. So the same thing, if we're talking about siloed, and again, when we're talking about grading practices and grading policy, we follow that. That was brought up by the PPC and it went to grievance and so forth. And so again, we follow the standard practice. So teachers have the autonomy to determine what goes into the grade book, what they allow to be late work, what they don't. It is at their discretion as long as it is aligned to the standards and it follows the CTU CPS policy that's out there.
Okay. Okay, thank you. So we move. Do you have anything else to add, Administrator Woody? No? Okay. So we move to the next report, which is Athletic Director, Miss.
If it's,
No,
if it's staff report.
Yeah.
Oh, you're gonna.
Yeah.
Oh,
I just wanna just so graduation was awesome. We had a lot of ESPs and PSRPs help out in the front. I mean, it worked out real good. And thank you to the admin and staff members that were part of it. Ms. Russo, thank you, appreciate you. I know that Mr. Sandoval also, and I'll be sourced with decorations. And yeah, and
Thank you.
Divina, I believe, helped out with decorations too, right? Yeah, so a lot of so our school revolves about
teamwork.
our kids and teamwork, and our kids work with our staff, and it works so great. So huge shout out to them. Also shout out to Mr. De Jesus with the security. They were on lockdown. I mean, they held it together. So thank you all for all you guys do. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. Rodriguez. So now Athletic Director.
First, I'd like to say again, echo, thank you to the parents who are on the council who will be with us again, but congratulations on your students' graduation. know they're doing exciting things. We'll miss having you, but it's a good reason to be going. So thank you for all you've done. Thank you, Ms. Dunn, for the last 2 months reading my minutes for me since I had softball games, so I appreciate that. Thank you. Most importantly, I want to say a big thank you to the coaches. The coaches this year have put in so much time, effort, generosity of spirit, and wallet, as it were. If you got a chance to see any of our senior nights, for example, baseball senior night was in awful weather, but it was remarkable showing of how much we care about our students. The softball parent night became more like a block party out there. We had probably over 100 people, and every coach has found a way to make their teams and especially their seniors feel very wanted, or very special, and that they will be missed. So I want to say thank you to those. Since we mentioned baseball, I want to say congratulations. The varsity baseball team made it to the finals of the CPS consolation brackets, which is pretty amazing. That means they were number 2. It was a good game at UIC, and I want to say thank you to Mr. DeJesus, Ms. Shana Gonzalez, and Mr. Patner for coming out to that game. We had a good time up there, and we were behind you guys. So really, really good game. So thank you for that. I want to say congratulations to the boys volleyball team who made the playoffs and then went on to play in the IHSA series at St. Pat's. They played Maine West, which was a daunting a team to play against. But I want to read an email that was received from a spectator who was at that game. She said, "Hi, I was at St. Pat's Monday night to watch my son's Prospect versus Taft volleyball game. The game started late, so I was there to watch the entire game before ours, which was Steinmetz versus Maine West. I sat down on Steinmetz's side and began to witness a team that blew me away. The score may not have been on their side, but their positive energy and support for one another is what all volleyball teams need to learn from your varsity boys. They were never upset with each other for mistakes or never made each other feel bad. Your boys should hold their heads up high and be proud of themselves for displaying sportsmanship, enthusiasm, loyalty, and selflessness. Great job, Steinmetz." And I was sitting there, this was at Pat's, and she was sitting a few feet from me, and after the game, I had to go and say, "Thank you. You made our boys feel special." She was cheering at the top of her lungs. She just said, "I like these green guys. I'm going to cheer for them." And she did. And so it was really a really wonderful moment. I told the boys that in the parking lot afterwards, and they were like, "Oh," it was really very, very sweet. So thank you. Congrats to all of our teams for their successes this season. As far as buses, we stayed under budget, which was great, but I want to say thank you to a lot of parents who stepped up and managed to get kids to games when no buses were available. It was not a budgetary issue. We had the money for it. The problem is it is almost impossible to get buses for rescheduled games. So I wanted to say thank you to those parents who stepped up, and we were able to get some bus cards for certain things to get our kids where they needed to go. But we did stay under budget. As far as fundraising, I got a call today from SnapRaise. They are on the cusp of becoming approved again as a CPS vendor, so that means that's one more opportunity for us to raise money. I had a long meeting today with Hometown Ticketing, a virtual meeting, and we're looking forward to seeing what more things we can do with them. We raised for our track meet, the 2 track meets, we made at the gate $1,200, which is going to go back into the track fund. And in all the basketball games, we made about $1,100, which will go toward non-conference officials, which is one of our hardest things to be able to fund. We also got our first check from Chick-fil-A for a grand total of $312, which doesn't sound like much, but considering it's just for everybody to go out and eat chicken, I'll take it. So Chick-fil-A is really excited to work with us, and they want to come out and sell an event. They want to keep doing these events. The one on Harlem, you guys are familiar with it. I ordered 2 salads, so I had one that day, one for the next day, and their mac and cheese is pretty awesome. I'm just going to throw that out there. So if we can keep doing these and we have ways where people can just get food and support the school, and we can make some money for our teams, why not? And it's considered a donation, so yay, all wins. We want to see if we can reach out to other places like Chipotle or Tillo's and see. So none of us will ever actually cook. We'll all just go and eat out and support the school. So, right, there we go. A couple of other things I want to say thank you, Mr. Seidman. I've been meeting with him now. It was wonderful working with Ms. Pierce, but Mr. Seidman is now my go-to. And we have finalized what were the head coaching position vacancies, and now I have 2 new ones. So I'm looking for a boys volleyball coach and a boys cross-country coach. But other than that, we have finalized the head coaches for other positions, and we have scheduled interviews for next week for our other positions for assistant coaches, sophomore coaches, and freshman coaches. And we're already planning next year and summer. So there's no stopping. We're already moving forward. And thank you again to everyone who has supported athletics all year. If you ever have questions, please feel free to email me. I'm happy to answer. Thank you.
Thank you for your report. So a student's report.
Nothing really, just positive feedback for the last week of school activities, which thank you for the staff setting that up. And graduation from the videos I've seen and the students' feedback, it's just wonderful. They loved it. Many memories created that day. And that's all.
Okay, thank you. Bye. Back report.
Nothing to report.
Nothing. And back.
Not yet. No report.
Okay. So PPLC.
No.
Nothing. Okay. Thank you. So CIWP.
Yeah, so the last day of school, which was June 7th, the ILT met with the 2 APs, and they identified what in the CIWP needs to carry over, what was completed and what needs to carry over into school year 25, into the current CIWP. So what's work that either we started but it's not perfected and we need to continue working on it, what we postponed and needs to start. So they identified additional action steps that need to carry over into school year 25.
So next item on the agenda is principal's report.
Okay. So
Second.
yeah, I just want to end with highlights. I want to thank the LSC, all of the LSC members for school year 24, for your service and time. That I know some of you will be here next year, but I know some of you guys won't. So thank you for all of your efforts. Thank you for the countless hours and feedback on the principal evaluation, and just being a support, both to give feedback on how we can continue to make a better school for our students and in terms of collectively together. So I want to say thank you to everyone and whoever returns. Thank you again for signing up and for our new members as well that are going to join us. So thank you for your service and time to our school. I just want to conclude with some strong highlights. So I know that with our SAT, we have raw data. Raw data means that it's all students that took the test. So there's no eliminating students that have a threshold with a DL or a DL. So it's everyone. So from fall to spring, our juniors grew 40 points on the SAT in terms, and we have for meeting evidence-based reading, they went from 16 to 17. For math, they went from 3% to 4%. And then, so now we're seeing improvement overall. We still don't see, when you compare apples to oranges to different cohorts, the students are coming in with some gaps. So we're going to try to leverage our freshman connection to try to mitigate some of those challenges with English and math. So that's why we're doing 5 days of freshman connection, so that we can have more time for English and math acceleration during the summer with our freshmen, because we're seeing some learning loss in terms of summer, even with our sophomores going into junior and juniors going to seniors. So thinking about how to leverage some of the resources that we have that we can use over the summer. But we're still seeing improvement in our SAT scores for students. For PSAT 10, our students went from 702 to 736. So we saw a 34-point gain in our fall to spring data. But I want to highlight a specific benchmark, and I know that we have new teachers teaching reading for sophomores, and so we're seeing a 15 to 27% gain in students meeting benchmark. In 1 year, we went from 15% in the fall meeting to 27% meeting, which is a 12% increase. In terms of math, we still need some work to do with math because it's the heart of algebra. The test really has a lot of algebra, and PSAT, the 10th graders take geometry. So with the switch to SAT, ACT. We'll see what that looks like, but we know that we have to integrate more algebra into our geometry thoughtfully. One thing to note that I thought was powerful is the number of students that met none. So when our sophomores in the fall, 84% of them met no benchmarks, met none of them. And now we have 73. It's still a high number, so we have a lot of work to do, but 11% of our students went from meeting none to meeting at least one or two. And our freshmen. So our freshmen, they grew 39 points on the PSAT 9. Again, want to recognize the efforts of the English teachers that teach ninth grade, especially that we did move some people around and we have new teachers. We went from 17% in the fall meeting benchmark to 26% meeting benchmark in the fall. So that's a significant increase in an amount of time. And for math, we had a 3% increase. And again, we went from 83% of students in the fall not meeting benchmark to 72%. So that means 11% of our students, of our freshmen, shifted to meeting one or two both benchmarks, which is significant for a year. And then some highlights, data highlights, 11% increase in attendance for STLS and 3% decrease in their failure rates. We now see, because we've been focusing on equity groups, so 13% increase in our pass rate for ninth grade African-American females. They went from 68 to 81%, 80 to 91% increase in pass rate for ninth grade white females, but white is Polish, Ukrainian, and Hispanic as well. 18% increase in African-American freshmen on track, 16% increase in white female freshmen on track, and a 26% increase in STLS FOT freshmen on track. So our students in temporary living situations increased this year by 26% in a year. And I do attribute a lot of that to the structures that CPS has put in place in terms of providing schools with high STLS populations with a designated coordinator. So, action planning. I know that our STLS coordinator does a lot of work with checking in with students, both academically and on the social end. She serves on multiple teams to continue to support our students. We also saw a 15% increase in EL and DL students on track for SOT, that's sophomore on track, and a 22% increase in STLS of our students for sophomore on track. 8% increase in pass rate for African-American male juniors, 8% increase in African-American male juniors, and a 17% increase in a pass rate for African-American female juniors. So we're seeing the target groups that we've been working on to increase their on-track rates have been increasing. And even though I know our 5 essentials remains low on the teacher side, however, the students are actually reporting higher expectations for instruction and safety. So the student data went up on the 5 essentials. So they're reporting that more of an ambitious instruction. So the expectations for them in terms of being safe and connected, and that now they're being held to expectations of, like, I believe you can, or you're doing this, increase. So on the student, and we saw that reflected on the whole school safety and cultivate data as well. On the teacher side, I want to say that, it's exciting that we completed our ILT, attended all 5 ILT institutes. We completed 3 cycles of learning around the instructional core. We visited classrooms. We completed our rigor walks for this year. We completed Pillar 1, and so we're excited to move into Pillar 1s, 2, and 3. And I know that's a different language, but that's the new language district is using when it comes to the rigor process for all schools. So we're excited to continue that work, but we're seeing the impact that the focus on really uniting academics with SEL and thinking about a holistic approach to learning, and what we're thinking about what we're doing at the school is actually improving the outcome of our students. Our graduation rate we anticipate will be higher too this year. And just thinking about the experiences. So even though, we work hard so that we can build in that time for our students to be able to make memories towards the end. And it's about connectedness and well-being. So a lot of people may say it's this and that, but it's about students making memories and being connected to the adults and strengthening the relationships with each other and with the staff. So with that, I conclude my principal's report.
Thank you. So next item on the agenda is to determine a date and time for the organizational meeting. So I don't know if everyone is open for July the 10th. It's a Wednesday. And I don't know if everyone can do in the morning. Oh, done. Morning works. I'm sure put it if morning works. Morning doesn't work for you? 3?
3 could work.
Like around 3 p.m.? Okay. Okay. Mr. Quiles.
Oh.
July 10 works for you? Like around 10, it's a Wednesday?
Yes.
Okay.
You said 3, right?
Yes, it's like around 3. Okay. So I would like to present a motion to have a schedule the organizational meeting on July 10th at 3 p.m.
A second.
Ms. Dunn second, open for discussion. No discussion, close discussion, roll call for vote.
Dr. Vilches,
Yes.
Ms. Lopez.
Yes.
Mr. Keelis,
Yes.
I'll vote yes. Ms. Dunn,
Yes.
Ms. The people not on anymore?
No, yes.
Yeah,
they
we vote. We pick
They
for
are part of the
Ah.
LSC and they
Ms.
decide
Hanson,
whether
would you
they
like us
will
to
be
leave on
or they
some
not.
kind
They,
Thank you.
they
Ms.
won't.
Shelley,
Go for it.
midnight, 1 in the morning.
Yeah, go for it. Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez? Sure.
So at this point, anytime.
Divine Valdez?
3 o'clock works.
Thank you.
Rising men, yeah.
So our meeting is gonna be on July the 10th at 3 p.m.
That's what the new LSC stands for.
Yes.
Cool. So it doesn't look like.
Right, is what I'm saying. Anytime, it's okay. Okay, so next item in the agenda is internal accounts.
Yeah, motion to approve book transfer to support students with college and career readiness and additional compensation costs for benefits for school year 25 positions.
Okay, thank you, fine. Open for discussion.
Can you be a little more specific?
Yes, so there was an error in terms of the budget handout. In terms of the college and career position, it's not, that's the city, they put a citywide position on a school level handout. So that wasn't a position that was to be allocated for the school. So there was a disconnect between OCCS budgets and, so downtown and OCCS both. And so the steps that they told me were the incorrect steps. So I had to open like tickets, snow tickets and whatever call. And so the fix to it is to do a book transfer to rectify this until the next year's budget, and then everything will be okay. But this was the recommendation for budget on how to remedy that issue.
So this would allow us to keep,
Without seeing the need, yeah.
yeah, and then in terms of dollar amount,
It depends, so they have to wait for like benefits and compensation. So whatever the contract allows and if it's gonna be 5%, 7%, we don't know what the COLA.
so this, we have to pay out of our internal funds. That position was the citywide position. Okay, so this is just for the college and career position.
Yeah. Now, there may be additional compensation that may need to, like if someone has child and we have to cover like 300 here or 1,000 there, but for now, this is the only position.
Wait, what did you say about
With
the child?
benefits, in terms of the benefits, that's why there's no dollar amount. So it's for this specific position.
So just for one position?
Yeah.
Okay.
And the benefits that go with that one position, which could change, I don't know. I'm not gonna say yes or no. We don't go into the details of the position.
Question. So to just be absolutely clear, if we pass this, our college and career coach will continue working there?
That is correct.
Yes. And if we don't pass it, this person will not continue working.
It would go to the next LSC for correction.
I almost feel like asking again. So this is the money we need. This without saying names, this individual will be employed at Steinmetz next year.
Yes.
Yes.
This allows the remedy to go in effect July 1st.
And this remedy and this compensation is not for any other positions, just this one person.
Yes.
So, just another question. So every school has to open this snow, you said snow, right?
Yeah, we have to call budget. We work with budget and they keep a record of our requests and stuff like that.
So it wasn't just our school that has to do this, all schools?
No,
would
there
have
were
to do
other
it?
schools that were impacted that believe that there are schools that have what they call college and career STEM specialists that are also ESPs. And so there's a citywide version of that and there's a local level version of that. So we all found out when it was time to staff and we're like, where's the position? And that's when they realized that there was a disconnect between what was communicated from Office of College and Career to budget.
Got it.
And they recommended this is the best way to address that situation for this year because we had already approved the budget. So we can't change the budget at this time. It's locked. So this is the recommendation.
Okay, thank you.
And there's no scenario in which this gets passed, this person continues to work here, but 3 weeks from now, turns out there's a problem and this person's not working here. That scenario does not exist. There's no version of that where, oh, we passed this, but it turns out you're still gone. Not, absolutely not.
No, I'm waiting for, as soon as this approves, like I'm gonna email, because we can't do anything. Everything is an end of the year processing. So July 1st is when I'm gonna go and start working on the paperwork that goes to that position. Yes, that's correct.
If this person was mistakenly cut and received their information from CPS already that they were cut, what are we to think about that?
They were not supposed to.
So you're saying you would take whatever steps are necessary to negate that?
I had, so the letter was not supposed to go out.
Because I'm concerned. I find this individual an intricate, valuable member of this school upon whom students rely, the loss of which would be horrible. And I'm just really concerned that that this person received information that they were gone. You can say whatever you want here, but CPS is going to stand by their letter and this person is still gone. I'm really concerned about that.
No, because I've been working with my district rep, my HRBP rep. I also been working with our deputy. Yeah, so that everything is documented in terms of like this situation, and that letter was not supposed to go out. That should not have gone out. And so I followed up, called again budget, and this was the fix for this year because the budget had already been approved. Next year should be okay. That was never the intention. When I found out that was an error, I've been hours trying to fix this because this was not an error at the school level. This was an error up there. And so to remedy the situation, I've been doing everything to find out what the fix is. So we were able to get it onto the agenda now. And then by approving it today, then I can work on the remedy effective July 1st or when the budget's open, like the 4th or the 5th, whenever they really process everything, and then everything will be.
Or the person will just go back into the position.
Yeah, it'll be a different number though.
Okay.
In this transfer of money, we can't put a dollar amount on it yet. And also, it's not some monies for other people. It's only for this one.
No, you'll see it in the internal accounts. Well, the next LSC will.
So from now till since they just got the letter, I think I think the letter is from starting the 1st, correct? Like, is their last day?
No, I don't know what the exact date, but I just want to move fast on this so that I can make sure that nothing's interrupted because of this glitch.
So this is coming out of the internal accounts for the next school year budget, nothing for right now.
No, it comes out of the internal accounts, as you see. Remember, internal accounts roll over.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so they identified the funding sources from the internal accounts. Once I give them the okay to do the book transfer, to make the correction, they'll figure out which lines that they identified to fund this source that would be appropriate. And then the next LSC will see that in the internal.
Okay. Any more questions? No? Close discussion, roll call for vote.
Dr. Vilches,
Yes.
Ms. Lopez.
Yes.
Mr. Keelis,
Yes.
I'll vote yes. Ms. Dunn,
Yes.
Ms. Hanson,
Yes.
Ms. Shoei,
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez,
Yep.
Divine Valdez.
Yes.
That's 9 yes, 0 no.
Yes, yes. Okay, motion passed. Next.
Oh, that's me. Motion to approve checks for HR Imaging Yearbook for $5,890 and Herb Jones caps and gowns and diploma covers for $3,379.55. And then I'll explain why.
Second.
Rodriguez, open for discussion.
All right, so the reason why I have to present it because these won't show up until the next internal accounts and we have to pay them out of the money that was collected by the students for their graduation costs. So in order to have the chairperson sign the checks, we need to approve. Now, if they were already reconciled, then you would approve the internal accounts and then we would be okay, but those won't be ready until they won't show up until the next one.
I'm sorry, that's my house. So open for discussion. Did I say open for discussion? No. So any questions? No questions? Okay. Close discussion, roll call for vote, please.
Dr. Vilches,
Yes.
Ms. Lopez,
Yes.
Mr. Keelis,
Yes.
I'll vote yes. Ms. Dunn,
Yes.
Ms. Hanson,
Yes.
Ms. Shoei,
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez,
Yes.
Divine Valdez.
Yes.
9 yes, 0 no passes.
Thank you.
Motion to approve sorry.
No, go ahead.
Oh, yeah, motion to approve the use of hometown ticketing funds for general athletics and reimbursable officials.
I second. Sorry,
That's okay.
my daughter's playing. I want to go.
So who? Mr. Rolando? Okay. Mr. Rolando? So open for discussion. No questions? Okay, close discussion, roll call for vote.
Dr. Vilches,
Yes.
Ms. Lopez,
Yes.
Mr. Keelis,
Yes.
I'll vote yes. Ms. Dunn,
Yes.
Ms. Hanson,
Yes.
Ms. Shoei,
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez,
Yes.
Divine Valdez.
So
9 yes.
9 votes, motion pass. Next item in the agenda.
Motion to approve internal accounts.
I said.
I'll give you a chance.
All right, open for discussion.
Can we table this? I didn't have access to a computer today to even look at them.
I agree with that.
All right, if affects with the move we make to approve the money from the internal accounts, to table this.
Isn't that money come from the next budget?
No, it comes from the
No, it's
current
from
internal.
the current
Yeah,
internal
internal.
accounts.
To your current internal accounts, because internal accounts don't have a timeline. I didn't ask that question, so I don't know if it would affect it.
We already make a move from the internal accounts, and if we table internal accounts,
Have to ask.
we're holding the money.
I can't vote for something I haven't looked at.
Got it.
No, I understand.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, no, I know what you're saying though.
but I just want to make sure it's not gonna be affected the vote we
We just approved.
previously approved to keep that position. So affects? or-
I don't know, I didn't ask that question. But I can ask.
Mr. Quiles, do you know that if that not passing internal accounts could affect the position we just approved to get the money out of the internal accounts?
Well, if it's not approved, I mean, we can move nothing to the internal accounts
That's what I thought.
until it's approved, no?
It would just delay it. I mean, it will still go through eventually.
I don't see how, if a new budget was issued and that helps us retain this position, I don't see what internal accounts has to do with.
It's coming from the internal.
Because the money is coming from internal accounts, not from the regular budget that we pulled
Mhm.
previously.
It's a book transfer from the internal accounts to open.
CPS wants it that way? We couldn't just appeal the position?
That's the way. Either that or I have to honor the impact letter.
Appeals on you, and then that's it, and then they didn't give us the internal accounts until minutes before the meeting, and they expect.
Yeah, because like I explained before, the internal accounts delay now is due to the hometown ticketing system. That takes longer to reconcile because they have to process that. It takes longer for them to process because of the digital system.
Okay, so close discussion, roll call for vote.
I'm sorry, I just had a question to clarify. Are we voting then to table
Oh, okay,
the motion until the next meeting or voting for
No,
it to pass?
we're voting to pass in the first place,
I can't.
but my question was that, we just approved to move money from internal accounts, right? And the motion passed. But if we don't approve the internal accounts as we have to, then the money we previously approved is not going to be used for the position we are trying to maintain.
No, that part makes sense. I was just wondering what
Right.
after this
Right,
part.
right. No,
what is
we
that
are
that
trying,
we're voting?
right,
Are we
the
voting
motion
to
is,
Table it or are we?
no, the
voting
motion,
to-
yes, the motion is to, I'm sorry, the motion is to approve the internal accounts.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
But we don't know. It could go through and it could just be delayed. We would have to call and ask.
Yeah, I guess to build on that, we just asked a few minutes ago, if we approve that one transfer, which we did, we said this position will be retained for sure. If it was just a matter of an internal accounts, then we would have just had internal accounts on here, right? It would have just been all in one.
But the
So
money
we,
comes from internal accounts.
I don't understand the separation. If it comes, so we said that other motion that passed, if that happens, this position will be retained. So that's a fact.
When you're approving the internal accounts, you're also approving any donations, you're approving deposits, you're approving any money that was collected to be added into the internal accounts. So you're approving all of that. So like when we collect fees, you're approving that it's gonna go into that account. So you're seeing the ledgers, all 27, whatever pages, you're approving that everything that goes into internal accounts, not just withdrawals. You're also approving like the deposits, the hometown, like the ticketing system, like those monies that everything's
The
going to
checks,
what
we
it's
have
supposed
to
to be
write down
going to.
from
Like
there.
when we collect money for the tickets, you're approving that.
I guess what Ms. Nunn and I think what Ms. Nunn and I are saying is we're totally in favor of the two things we just approved, but we haven't had an opportunity to look at the rest of the internal accounts and what might have been slipped in there along the way. So, we're put in an impossible situation where we want these particular things we just voted on to happen, but we're in a position of trying to approve something we don't know what it is, the rest of it. And
So I have another question then. So if internal accounts doesn't pass the check, you will need to.
No, these are different. We can still
Okay.
send the checks. That's why I have to stand them separate.
It would just push it back a month. I mean, we have the money there. It's not like the money is going to go anywhere. We
But
just didn't.
that
approve
kind of
it.
goes back to my question. So let's say an individual got the notice that their last day is on the 31st of June, 30th, right?
We probably need to call a special
they're
meeting
they're
to
probably
go
gonna
over
be
the
out of
internal
work
accounts
from the the
before
1st to the 10th
June 30th.
without getting paid.
Yeah,
And
But that's in the new fiscal
that's
year.
another issue.
We don't get paid for that anyway.
That person's a 52-week employee.
so the thing is that if it doesn't get approved today, like let's say there is an issue, then I will have to read the impact letter to the individual. So I will have to execute on the impact and then wait for the new LSC. If there's any delays, if CPS says it doesn't matter whether it was approved, great. But if CPS says no, Dr. V, they actually technically had to approve the internal account, so it's gonna wait. So now you're gonna have to serve the actual impact letter. I haven't served it yet.
But then you could also bring that person back on.
If they want to come back, yeah. Yeah, it's 30
Or
days,
if
so
he
you gotta
has
keep in
a
mind.
new,
Yeah, then
opening
maybe we
somewhere
have a
else.
special meeting. I mean, I want that person back. I'm willing to come back for a special meeting, but I can't say that I looked through documents and am approving
Right,
them
but I
when I
mean-
haven't.
We
But as
can,
I explained a little bit earlier, I have a very serious situation.
Or could Mr.
So-
Keelis chair the meeting?
or maybe let's see if the motion passes with the, we need 7 votes. If we get 7 votes today, the motion passes.
The other issue we could have is the quorum. But okay, go ahead, Mr. Gilles.
I'd like
Yeah,
to,
I have a question for Mr. Caputi. Is your concern is that money be withdrawn from the internal accounts prior to this? Because I mean, anything that we approve as a council has to be signed by the chairperson. And if the chairperson signs something that is not approved by the council, she knows her position. So I mean, if we're trying to save this person and not putting it in doubt, why can't we just move on and approve it and look at the internal accounts to make sure nothing else came out, because it's not supposed to come out anyway unless it's approved by the council. Internal accounts is something that is money that is rolled over from year to year. But we also have seen that the CPS also takes money, because if you guys if you don't recall, when the antenna money was approved, so the council could make decisions on the internal accounts, CPS decided to control that money and take it away from us. So I mean, it's something that if we approve it, we just move forward. And if something comes up, we have all the right to question.
Okay, Ms. Joy, next, go ahead.
I just want to remind everybody that this is a person with probably a family that needs benefits, as we all do, that would not like an interruption in pay or any of those.
Mhm.
So, that being said.
Right, for that reason, I want to make sure that if we don't approve the internal accounts, we're not going to affect that person's position and their opportunity to continue in the school.
But we just said we don't know without contacting CPS.
Let's put it to a vote, see if it passes or not.
Okay, so clause discussion and roll call for vote.
Dr. Vilches,
Yes.
Ms. Lopez,
Yes.
Mr. Keelis,
Yes.
I'll vote yes. Ms. Dunn,
I abstain.
Ms. Shoei,
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez.
Yes.
Ms. Hanson,
Yes.
Divine Valdez. So that's a yes.
7, 8. We have 8, right, Mr. Capri?
Yeah.
Okay. So motion passed. Next item. We're done with the transfer, so that's principal evaluation. And I think at this point, Mr. Capuri, you asked that. We have that in the agenda.
Right, so the teachers, we're just wondering why we didn't do a principal evaluation this year. It's an annual thing we're supposed to do. We've had quorum, minus students even, we've had enough for quorum for a this entire calendar year except for 1 month, I believe. So we're just wondering why we didn't do a principal evaluation this year.
Right. First of all, let me tell you something. When a meeting is adjourned and you throw a question like that, you're not giving me a chance to say yes or explain something, because after a meeting is adjourned, I'm not supposed to answer those type of questions because the meeting is adjourned.
This
Right.
meeting's been
No,
adjourned.
last meeting, you asked the question about the principal's evaluation. So I
Right.
answered no, right? So then I saw your email, the email you sent, and I would like to clarify that when the meeting is adjourned, we don't really discuss anything, or we can ask any of those questions that has to be discussed during the LSC meeting. So
I don't, who,
you're not getting my point?
no, I'm getting your point. The meeting's the meeting.
No,
And we
I'm
can
not talking
still,
about this meeting. I'm talking that the last meeting we have, you, after the meeting was adjourned, you asked me about the principal's evaluation. What I'm trying to clarify to everyone is that when a meeting is adjourned, no questions related to the business of the LLC are supposed to be asked, because then we are getting into a violation and I can get in trouble. So it's something that I'm not going to do, because I don't want to get in trouble for things that I'm not supposed to get into a position where, I mean, I have no time for that. So for that reason, I need to clarify that, because I answered no, right? And then I went to you to explain you some of the reasons. So at this point, due to the circumstances, and because I need to talk about one in a specific member that could be eligible to go into the principal's evaluation, but due to some criteria that LSCs are supposed to follow, we are in the risk to lose that vote. So I cannot get in details because I'm not gonna use names, but that's the reason we didn't perform the principal evaluation.
Wait, I didn't understand.
And I'm trying to reserve, okay, if I get into discussion and explain, I have to reveal name of a LLC member who's currently serving as in the LLC and could be in risk for some criteria that LLCs internally has to follow. So I cannot discuss anything because I have to talk about one person in specific, and I'm not going to do that. Everything that I can say is that the evaluation is going to be performed, but we have to wait until fall. So we are going to evaluate, but it's going to be until fall.
so we can't talk about why we're not having evaluation because someone on this council.
No, it's
wouldn't
not what
make-
I said. And how it's not clear. So this is the thing. I'm getting kind of tired to try to be polite and speak in English, but every time I try to explain myself, I see or people is misunderstanding what I'm saying, or people doesn't want to listen what I'm saying. So I'm gonna say it in Spanish, and I'm gonna ask someone to translate it, and maybe that way everyone is gonna be okay. So, lo que estoy diciendo es de que no se efectuó la evaluación porque hay un miembro de concilio que tiene una situación no muy clara y su voto pudo haber sido, dadas ciertas circunstancias y protocolos que se tienen que seguir dentro de los concilios escolares, ese voto podría anularse. Dada a esas circunstancias, no pretendo hablar o exponer a esa persona en específico y por esa razón no puedo discutir más o dar más explicaciones al respecto. Anyone wants to translate?
It's the same thing.
Pretty much, just straight to the point. So there's a member on the LSC that will compromise the vote due to whatever reason.
With other circumstances.
Other circumstances, and so unfortunately,
We don't have the votes.
We don't have the votes.
We don't have the eligible. We are in a difficult situation. So it doesn't mean that we didn't perform the evaluation. We are going to evaluate. but we didn't evaluate at this time. So we're gonna wait until fall to do that.
So
Will that person be on the council in the fall?
I cannot say that because if I say that, I'm giving you
Okay.
information that I'm not supposed to
I'm
share.
just asking because if they're gonna be on the council in the fall, then we can't do it then either.
How does the situation substantively change?
Señor Quiles.
Yeah, Madam Chair. Okay, the principal evaluation is on the table. Are we going to put a date for it and continue so we can move forward? Because I heard your explanation, and I'm pretty clear of what you're saying. And I think that all we need to do is put a date so we can move forward if the evaluation is on the agenda.
Okay.
yeah, because I mean, at the end of the day, there is gonna be a new LSC starting next month. So
They can pick the date then.
Mm-hmm.
So then the current LSC doesn't weigh in on that principal evaluation, as I understand it, is that right?
I'm sorry.
She says, dice que el concilio ahorita corriente no tiene decir en mi evaluación a ese tiempo. Pero sí me evaluaron en el fall, en el otoño.
We evaluate in fall. So we did evaluate. We didn't conclude the evaluation. So on the other half of the evaluation. So we can do that in fall this year coming up.
Okay.
They did. So I did get an evaluation. I remember I had to sign it when I was released from the hospital. I got an evaluation. You had the special meeting was held. They read me the numbers in person, but I wasn't walking at the time. So they delivered them and they gave me all the feedback from the team. So I did have an evaluation in October. That's when I believe I signed it.
Mhm.
And it was turned over to LSC Relations before the deadline for the fall. The only one that hasn't been completed is the second half, which is always tied to data, but which will make it easier because this one it has to be with test scores and end of the year data. So that'll be factored in. Just rest assured that I get evaluated by my boss 3 times.
Thank you for clarification.
Yeah, so I do get evaluated, BOI, MOI, based on the domains, and it's a very comprehensive process where I have to produce a lot of evidence of each of the domains, in addition to this evaluation. So I understand the timeliness and that there may be competing commitments here. I'm okay with being evaluated whenever. I have everything ready to go for whenever. Remember, Frank kept bringing the binders. Then we took the binders, brought the binders, took the binders. So I was ready. So, and then they changed the letters. So at any time it's going to be, but of course the feedback, I took to heart the feedback that was given to me in the fall. And those are the things that I communicated to my deputy in terms of areas that I wanted to work on.
I don't even know how to respond. I was going to try and I don't know if someone wants to help me. So we're not going to do one. We already missed due May 1st. We didn't do one because there's a member of the council who would compromise it in some way that we can't talk about. This person may or may not be a member of the council after July. We're going to do it in November with this person, or maybe not with this person who may or may not compromise it then.
Madam Chair?
Understand?
Yes, Mr.
That's what it
Aquiles.
sounds like.
Does that?
Well, we're repeating what we said. I know the purpose of repeating it so they could record it and use it further down the line. That is no problem. But I suggest that since a new council is coming aboard in July the 1st, why don't we just go ahead and table it and let the council that is coming go ahead and decide when the date is going to be? Because it's not fair for the newcomers that we give a date, and if they can't show up, you know, we're not giving them a chance. So I would like to make a motion to table the evaluation for the coming council.
I second.
Mr. Rolando, second. It's open for discussion.
Was this even a vote? It wasn't a motion.
He made a
Yes,
motion.
give person a motion.
Is it open for discussion? yet?
Yes, it is. Go
So we're waiting for direction from LSC Relations on how to proceed.
No.
The new
So then
council.
who's making that decision that the evaluation can be made? I think that's the question.
That's the question, like who's gonna make the decision if we can proceed or not?
The new LSC.
The new LSC will pick the date.
Mhm.
Okay, I'm sorry, I'm not clear, but
Okay,
I understand that.
What I'm saying here is the question is like to make me responsible why we didn't evaluate. Okay, so I'm not responsible why we didn't evaluate.
I
I'm
don't
just trying
think
to
you're
explain.
responsible.
I'm just trying to explain something. But I mean, I had restrictions because there is some information that I'm not supposed to share, right?
Okay, but that's
And
why we have a motion on the table,
Right.
so we could
And
let the other
right.
council deal with it.
to make the new council to decide when pick date time to evaluate. And we will evaluate both things at the same time.
Yeah, I mean, there's no.
Because it's not that we didn't evaluate, we evaluate. And we did it last year in around November.
Yeah, I was in the car
October,
accident.
November?
Yeah, you did evaluate me in the fall.
That was,
You completed the first part.
that was the evaluation that was delayed from the previous May. So we're, everything's being delayed again. And the problem doing it with the new council, which doesn't look like we're going to be able to escape it, is there'll be several new people on the new council who weren't present for the period that we're evaluating. So it's discredits the evaluation to some degree. I mean, but I guess we
Mr.
know that.
Capuri, when we have no intentions to come in agreement of to listen each other, I mean, it's like waste of time trying to explain something over and over.
I mean, the
So we're going to evaluate, but it's going to be,
November.
no, I didn't say November. I said in fall. So we are supposed to evaluate in fall. So anytime in fall can be performed the evaluation. So what we are doing right now is to table that for the new LSC to decide at a date and time and move forward with the evaluation.
permission to speak.
Yes.
So the thing is that what I can give the new council is every presentation that I've done, every principal report has been aligned to the principal competencies. So all of the evidence is ready to go in terms of sharing it with the council for the work that's happened. In terms of this year, last year, I have the principal reports that were aligned to the old competencies if they wish to see that. We have all of the PSAT data from the last 2 years to show the impact because one of the indicators for the evaluation is what impact have I had on student outcomes for both academically and social emotionally in terms of everything. So the good thing is that all of the data is there from PSAT, attendance, behavior. We're trending upward. It's not perfect, but at least we've had gains. So I have everything ready to go in terms of showing both current LSC and that the work that we're doing is making an impact on students, and everything's already aligned to the standards, both the old one and the new one. So it's just a matter of sharing. If the new counselor decides that that's part of the process, right? Because part of that is I'm not involved, right? So if that's what the request is, then the members from this team, because some of you are carrying over into the next LSC, can gladly share everything or discuss it with them. You also can give them the fall evaluation so that they can build off of that and talk about the action items from that evaluation so that the voice of this team remains intact, carrying over into the new, right? So there's a way to bridge that, even though, I mean, whatever the reason is that I wasn't evaluated yet, and respecting the decisions or whatever, is that I have everything to communicate with the new LSC, and whatever the process is decided by the new LSC and what they want, I will gladly provide to them. But I would ask that the old evaluation be included to honor the feedback that was provided by this LSC and the outgoing LSC members into the new one. So whatever the numbers were, whatever the feedback was, whatever the action items were for me, we carry that over, and I would like to include that. So that, again, it shows transparency, and it shows that I'm willing to work with the feedback of this LSC going into the next LSC.
Last discussion? I don't know, full for vote?
This is to table it, right?
Right.
Dr. Vilches,
I don't think I can vote abstain. I can't vote because it's regarding
Principal's evaluation.
You can't vote then either, right?
Right.
So it's not
can't vote.
regardless.
Divine can't vote.
oh, right. Ms. Lopez,
Yes.
Mr. Keelis,
Yes.
I'll vote yes. Ms. Dunn,
Yes.
Ms. Hanson,
Abstain?
Ms. Shoei, Mr. Rodriguez,
Yes.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Motion didn't pass.
Sure what that means.
So next item on the agenda is budget transfers.
Sorry. Drag and drop. This will only get better.
We have only 14 minutes.
It might help if I pass this out real quick. No, thank you. So we're just concerned, this has come up at past meetings, and Mr. Keelis has said he'd be interested in hearing, and others.
I have one question before you continue. When you say we, you refer to who?
When did,
You say we have concerns. When you say we, who you are referring to?
teachers, for the teacher reps.
Okay, got it. Teachers have.
There's a list of budget transfers that
Teachers,
occurred
right.
here that anyone can FOIA. I mean, it's itemized here. You can look all the way through it, but all these budget transfers occurred. And from the beginning of this past school year, so mid-August or so of 2023, up until currently, there are approximately 56 transfers that occurred, and we don't know quite what they were. Dr. Vilches has mentioned some what's the correct name? Skyline transfers in there, but there's many others, it looks like, and the total monies transferred is $460,000 plus, and we're just wondering, for example, letter O is a transfer of over $85,000. Letter V is a transfer of over $50,000, $51,000, and the LSC, to my knowledge, it was not made aware of any of these transfers. So we're just curious and concerned about what these might be.
Go ahead, Mr. Giles.
Yeah, you know,
Oh yeah,
I would
you
say
have the-
I would say that every time there's a transfer, I know that it's been passed through the LSC. Now, is there any transfer that wasn't passed through the LSC that you are aware of? Because I see some emails accusing about transfers and stuff like that by people that are not even part of the LSC or the council. I kind of hear about it from the outside instead of hearing it from the teachers or the staff members of the school. So I mean that is a concern of mine too, is why the information is passed out to the street when it's not even put on onto the LSC. I think that's something that we need to be worried about because it seems like they know more on the outside than we in the council are aware of.
I can clarify, Mr. Keelis, because you don't have the papers in front of me. This isn't from the outside or from the streets. This is from Chicago Public Schools. It's taxpayer money, so anyone can FOIA transfers made by any school. This is from the FOIA department of CPS. A list of 50 more, but these were the more sizable ones of 56 transfers for this.
Well, yeah. I mean, I'm not doubting that, Mr. Caputi. What I'm saying is that if they were spent and they were approved by the council, it should be there. Now, if there is any of those items that are not approved by the council, then I'm really concerned about that. I think you should point them out one by one of the ones that haven't been approved by the council.
Yeah, so I know it's difficult because you're not physically present, but that's what this list is. 56 of these that were not presented at LSC meetings that occurred. So I can start reading them to you one by one if you want, but that's exactly what it is. A bunch of many transfers that were not brought up at LSC meetings or discussed. Some were on the agenda, but there was no quorum and they occurred. So you're exactly right. That's what these are.
Okay.
Now, let me ask you another question, Mr. Caputi. We are aware that the principal is allowed to spend certain amount of money without the approval of the council. Are those under or over that amount?
Well, one is for $85,000.
Was it?
85,557.
Well, that's
What's that
over.
letter?
Oh, V is over $51,000. You can skim through them.
367.
But I'm confused because, according to this information, here says approve.
That's
And
where
most of them
it's saying
says
that's
approve.
marked as approved.
According to the FOIA department, they're saying this was approved by somebody.
And who get this information?
It's FOIA, you can
No,
FOIA it.
who?
I FOIA'd it
You.
Yeah.
You obtain this information through CPS?
through the FOIA department, correct? Anyone can, yeah, it's taxpayer
And-
dollars.
And you say that you don't understand where the money is coming from and where it's going?
Correct.
Okay, so do you see all the numbers you have previously to the amount?
Those are the
All the numbers
account.
that,
Okay.
But we didn't.
the
approve
numbers
them.
in the first line.
Yeah, the account, we see that
Okay.
money's being moved.
Madam
from
Chair?
the account, but we're saying they were not discussed at LSC.
No, but
meetings
what I'm
or
saying is
voted
that
upon.
when you
Ma-
say that you don't know where the money went, I'm trying to explain you that the first portion of the numbers, this first portion of the numbers is where the money's coming from. And then says two, and that's another set of numbers. That's where the money is going to.
That's not the issue we're raising. We're
Madam
raising-
Chair?
I'm sorry, Mr.
Oh,
Keeler.
I know.
Yeah.
Mr. Aquila, you have the floor.
Madam Chair.
Yes, you have the floor. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
I believe that question is not for us as a council. Only if we did not approve that is where I think we are responsible. But I think that's a question on each item to the principal because according to my understanding, everything that has been approved is what the principal spends. So that is my question.
Can I speak? I thought
Um,
that the
I don't know if she's going to
Oh.
answer what she's saying.
Yeah, so there's a lot of lines here, like 370, 324. Those are all CPS funding that we talked about that doesn't require, for example, one of them is for the empowered and it's allocated like that. So CPS will move it because it's allocated like this. ISB says this is how you're supposed to spend it, and they allocate it that way. So they move that money through whatever process they use. So, and then I don't know if it's the 370 or the, because they combine them. So the Perkins is CTE 369. That's allocated for CTE, and they move it based on whatever CTE determines that they're supposed to do it. So you're going to see that movement without LSC because that's the CTE. And then when we're talking about the Skyline money is combined with Tier 2. So all of those Skyline transfers are also on here. So all of the requests that were made by the science teachers in terms of moving the money that was sitting in contingency for Skyline, both by science teachers and English teachers, are in here.
So that accounts for these 56
For a lot of it,
Okay.
yes. 'Cause you can talk to Ms. Dunn, she could tell you how many transfers the science
Okay,
department
Mr.
made.
Gaburi.
I don't think it was for
Okay.
85,000 though.
No, that's for the, remember, that's the empower money, and then they allocate it based on, this is what you're supposed to spend it. So this position to support with this. So they allocate that funding.
Okay, Ms. Dunn, the question you have, go ahead.
My question was just based on the training that we received from the LSC. All budget transfers have to go through the LSC. And that's the only, and there were transfers done when we didn't have quorum. And that's what we're just asking for, is an explanation of how these went through if we didn't have meetings.
They went through, they were CPS money that is allocated for either Skyline, the ESSER money, Empower money, and those are allocated by them. So those are approved by them based on those, whoever the owner of that money is in terms of for the allocation. Now, a lot of the Skyline transfers, you have to keep in mind how many science teachers do we have, how many English teachers. So every time they wanted a specific item, that's a transfer. But again, that was the discretion that CPS gave for this relief money so that to expedite the support of curriculum and instruction. But I made it very clear now that even though we don't necessarily need it in the LSC, all of the transfers will now. So understanding that teachers will have to plan in advance, a month in advance, if they need anything moved now. So like everything outside of whatever is it done over the summer that CPS says you have to fill out. Like for example, they say you have to allocate the CTE money. So Mr. Edwards allocates it based off of however it's supposed to be allocated for the Perkins. So that he fills out, we fill out a Google form and CPS moves that money. Now, that happens over the, certain things happen over the summer, but that's CPS processes. But moving forward, like I said, anything for, it's gonna delay. I'm gonna put everything on the table here that does require, like if it's empowering, CPS says it has to go on this and this, and they put the transfer through, that's on them. But anything that I have to put in is gonna sit, it's gonna come to the LSC, understanding that that is going to the delay of purchasing of items for teachers, so they will have to plan a month in advance now. So anything that they need moved for chemicals, books, it'll be brought up, but the departments have a responsibility to plan in advance, make sure that they communicate to our budget clerk all of the transfers that are going to be required. And if we don't have quorum, then it moves to the next month. So the teachers will have to wait 2 months now. So understanding that that is going to be the process now. So I already communicated that. But if you look here, yeah, that's 367, 370.
Okay, yeah, that's the
So
progress that we're doing
114.
across.
So those are things that when you're thinking about is I already articulate. So CPS gives discretion on certain funding lines when it's related to instruction, curriculum, and Skyline. We talked about that. Everything was fine. This year, first year, we had Skyline, not an issue. Now all of a sudden, all these transfers are an issue. So we made all the similar transfers last year, the year before, but fine. So what I'm saying now is that every transfer that CPS doesn't do on their own will be put up for a vote. But please communicate to the staff that if they have to plan a month, science teachers, English teachers, and I think they have give money, math teachers will have to plan those transfers in advance. Communicate those numbers to me in advance so that I can add it to the agenda. If we do not have quorum, our teachers are going to go without whatever they need until the next month. Because to get a special meeting or to get anything is almost impossible sometimes with all of the competing commitments outside and in school. So I'm being very clear. So it's a give and take, right? And so first year, everything was fine with moving Skyline, the ESSER, whatever, however it was determined by CPS with the teachers. But now it's an issue, fine. Moving forward, everything will be brought up to transfer, even though it doesn't necessarily require, because there were some discretions given to specific lines because they're tied to Skyline, or they're tied to CTE, or they're tied to IB, or they're tied to STEAM. So those will all be brought up, but please communicate to the teachers that they will need to plan. Every transfer is no longer going down to the office and requesting for this and that. They will have to I'll develop the process. They will have to go to the department chairs. They will have to map out all those transfers out. They will work to get them on the agenda. If they fail to communicate it to me by the deadline that I'm going to set, then it doesn't make it to the agenda. And it's not because I don't mind hitting approve if it's related to something that was allocated for that. But because we want to include this in the process, then it is what it is, and I will do it as such.
So I have a question. The problem is not that where the money is going is not the problem. The situation here is that there is a suspicion that the principal is moving money without the LLC, or
Madam
ahead,
Chair?
Mr. Quiles.
Yeah, no, the question was for Mr. Caputi. Is it clear now, Mr. Caputi, or you think we have to go through all the 56 items in the list to make sure that everything is correct?
Ms. Dunn and I and the teachers, we understand the rule is the LSC approves budget transfers. We understand there might be certain types of transfers that is at the principal's discretion that don't necessarily require approval, but we just found that there were quite a few, and some for very large dollar amounts. Like we said, there's 56. A couple were on agendas for meetings where there was no quorum, so those transfers evidently required approval. We didn't have quorum and they happened anyways. We just want to make sure that LSC protocol, as determined by LSC relations and CPS, that we're just, because we know you guys and others where money goes and who it goes to and when, that's a concern for people. And this seemed like a lot that was happening without being brought up to the LSC, or that were going to be brought up to the LSC and we didn't have quorum. So we were concerned. If you feel, if the principal and the chair feels that Skyline covers $460,000 worth, or these are all sort of sanctioned, allowable as a principal, then I suppose we're good. But it just seemed like an exorbitant amount that warranted some discussion.
You know how much is to science for Skyline is $90,000.
I'm sure Ms. Dunn.
So that
Okay.
and that doesn't include English, and doesn't include how much they allocate for math. It doesn't include ESSER. It doesn't include the CTE. It doesn't include the STEAM budget. Right. So of course those would be high. It doesn't include like the tier 2 funding to support with teachers and having to.
We're not questioning you. We're just questioning how if we're supposed to be passing them as an LSC, that's what we're asking. We're not questioning anyone's integrity.
Right. That's what I want to know.
Yeah, that's what
I
it
want to
is.
be clear in that.
They did give dispensation, like I had explained year one, because Skyline, so that the teachers would have access to that. But if the LSC is, like we said, if this is a concern moving forward, like I shared, it'll be on the agenda, and I will develop the process for teachers requesting for movement of money. It'll be presented to the LSC. There will be a timeline that they have to meet. They'll have to work with our budget clerk to get the right codes. And hopefully we have quorum every month so we can make sure that our teachers have what they need. Just to avoid any type of questions regarding transfers, it's okay.
Mm-hmm. So you go ahead.
I'm concerned about the teachers that are wanting to do some special project that need know that they have budgeted for, and now it's pushing their lesson plan over because we didn't approve their money. I mean, I don't know how much more transparent you can be. All the accounts are here. You can clearly see how many accounts had large amounts transferred over to them. The money did not disappear. It's there in your budget. I get that we would like to know details, but I don't think that that should be a reason why the teachers in their discretionary funds need to come back and ask for an extra step and holding up their lesson plan because there's suspicion when the money never disappeared. It's here. That's my concern. And I'm sad that that is going to be for next year's budget or process for these teachers.
Michelle,
Our teachers.
you don't want to, so the thing is that people may question, but there's been so many audits and everything's fine. So there's been, because we're under ISB monitoring, people fail to realize that they audit. I have to, Mr. Rodriguez and I have to work hand. We not only do they audit all the every time they call for an audit, everything for technology gets re-audited again, and we have to show POs. Where is this device? That's why we tell teachers you can't move it because it's tied to the teacher and even the space, like that level of detail when it comes to audits. And we've completed all of the different audits, and like you said, the money is there. It's tied to something, and we have to verify that it's in the building. Like there is a layer. So we've completed internal audits. We've completed the different fundings. I completed this year the new principal because they moved me down, and I completed that audit and had to turn in everything like multiple times. And it was like the technology piece was the only thing that we had to, streamline a little bit, making sure that everything had an asset tag and making sure that the PO was tagged in TipWeb with the technology. And then we're still under ISB monitoring. So every time we have to provide evidence of everything, agendas of everything. We have to meet with someone to go over it. So there, like you said, it doesn't go anywhere. It has to be proof that it's in the building and in the school. I understand that the process is going to be cumbersome next year. But in order to provide that level of transparency and as requested, that's fine. It's just a layer that we'll have to add, and teachers will have to plan, like you said, a month in advance, and hopefully everything's ready to go.
Another
I don't know if
question.
that's gonna work for the
Very large
teachers.
athletic
No?
budget, right? Does that mean that they're gonna have to request money 2 months ahead of time too?
Well, I'm seeing people saying that is not going to be a good idea.
The internal accounts again, though.
But there's not that much that we can do.
Go ahead, Mr. Aquiles.
Yeah, no. I would like to say two things. First of all, Mr. Caputi, if you could kind of mark the ones that you or your teachers have doubts on, and pass it on to me, because now I'm concerned. I want to know. I want to know what's going on. And I have no doubts on what the principal is doing. She already explained it. I have that. I feel that the explanation is quite well done to the LSC, but now I would like to see that. It's one. Two, I think it's a good idea what the principal is saying, that she's going to move on for next year, because that way nobody accuses her of doing wrong. And that is what the feeling that we get when we hear questions like this, that she's doing something behind our back, and that shouldn't happen.
I agree. I can maybe add some clarifying comments. Certainly the teacher representatives, that was redundant, supplies, classroom-based activities, Skyline, no one wants athletic-based stuff. No one's looking to stop that. Of course, that's important. But there's two additional thoughts. part of our role as LSC members is to ask questions and to wonder what's happening, right, at our school. Things get brought to us, we think of things, you guys from your end think of things. So we would be remiss to not ask this question. We feel it would be a disservice for us to notice these types of things and not ask what this is. And to the extent that it's all good, it involves Skyline or other types of things, that's great. If the principal has the discretion to move almost $500,000 and it's all good, we're good. I can say this got going a little bit in relation to the budget and staffing. There wasn't a lot of clarity in terms of number of counselors, a number of APs, or number of clerks, and so we worry that when we don't know what the plan is as far as the staffing goes, and so how many positions are going to be in certain places, then people start getting hired as the fall goes on, various assistants and clerks, or, and money gets moved around. We're just hoping to keep track of, and as a school agree upon, where money is best put and used. And so we feel part of our role as LSC members is to ask those questions and monitor those things. There's no interest on anyone's part, I don't think, to stop a Wednesday lab in room 214, whatever your room is.
Yeah.
Right. That's, we're not looking to make things difficult, but we are looking to be vigilant in terms of where money is spent, what positions are filled. If we agree on, 8 assistants versus 3 assistants and their paychecks and all this kind of stuff, we want to make sure that that's going on. So that's our intention here. And we notice a lot of things that weren't discussed at LSC meetings, despite rules in place that these things should be discussed at LSC meetings. So that's our intention here, is to make sure that it's just taxpayer dollars, it's not our money. And asking questions is good, and being transparent and aware of where it's going is important. And we feel everyone on the LSC and in the school should be familiar with that process. And to the extent that everything is fine and where it's supposed to go, we obviously have no problem with that. We're just making sure.
Right. Go ahead, Mr.
Yeah, Ms. Belches, I want to congratulate you and thank you for being so rapid on your answers. That makes me feel that you know what you're doing and that there's nothing wrong going on. But as I told Mr. Caputi, I would like to follow up on those questions that he has.
Excellent.
Yeah, and to be transparent again, I know that it's taxpayer money, and again, we know that that there are specific staff members that are very vigilant as the number of requested audits that have been put on the school and that have completed this year and last year and have passed. So if there were any questions about any compromise of Board of Ethics or anything of that sort, wouldn't be here, right? Because they can track the money, they can track the dollars, they can track the POs. Everything has to go to CPS, and if it has a different number, it has to go to an approver. So they have to verify that the money aligns with the grant or the source or the funding, as I explained year one. So everything is done correctly, as I have to provide binders of evidence to our auditors downtown, again, because of the layer of oversight that has been requested multiple times this year in terms of trying to find holes into what we're doing and how money is being spent. But luckily, everything is fine because we've been able to produce everything that they need. And I've been able to provide where the technology is at with the tip web and the improvement in our tax support, because they look at everything from the internal accounts to the checks that have to be signed to the requisition forms. It's countless of hours. But please rest assured that those internal audits are being taken care of, because it has been requested already by staff and several different requests in terms of verifying that the money is being spent accurately, which it has. So I do my part, Mr. Keys. Like I said, I provide everything to CPS when it's requested, to all of the different governing bodies that have requested it, to ISB. But I'll add this layer of to just ensure that there's no questions about where the money's going. It's just going to pose a challenge to teachers to plan a little bit more diligently to get everything that they need, and hopefully that we have quorum every month. 1 month is going to really impact the classroom, but maybe the new LSC will feel different. So
I would like just to announce that this meeting was extended 14 minutes already on the 2 hours time we're supposed to have. So there is any more questions? No? Okay. So I would like to present a motion to adjourn the meeting.
I second it.
Thank you. At 7:15 p.m. Open for discussion. Close discussion. And roll call for vote, please.
Dr. Vilches,
yes.
Ms. Lopez,
Yes.
Mr. Keelis.
Yes.
I'll say yes. Ms. Dunn,
Yes.
Ms. Hanson,
Yes.
Ms. Shoei,
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez,
Yes.
and Divine Valdez.
Here's the-
Thank you. Have a good night.
Drive safe. Do you need anything, let me know.
You're working here.
Almost, I just have to clean up now.
You know what? Just shut them up. Do line by line, put it on a computer and send it.